Hello and welcome back to the shop. So today we're going to be building ourselves a beautiful little mid-century modern side table. And we're going to be building this table with angles rather than doing just a square box. Have a nice beautiful angle. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to build our top and bottom panels, and we're going to use the Dowelmax to run little dowels to make these panels a little bit stronger and to make the glue up a little bit easier. Now we're going to add our glue and dowels. We're going to bang them together. We're going to put these panels in clamps and give them a few hours to dry. And this is what a good glue squeeze outline looks like. Once panels are dry, we're at table saw. We got our digital angle finder, and we're going to set our angle on the blade to make our first cuts. The first angle is going to be 52.5 degrees. And here we are, we got a special jig to make this procedure a little safer. We're going to cut our high angles in the top part of the box. And now we're going to cut the same angle in the side panels on one side only. Then we're going to flip the panel to the opposite side, and we're going to lay it down and cut the panel. And this way our joints are going to come together and give us our angle. So here we got the top and the two sides together, and we are measuring to make our cut on the bottom. Once this is cut, we're going to do a dry fit and see how it looks. It's looking pretty damn good. Alright, so we're going to go over to the router table, and we're going to cut a profile in the front of the box to give us another angle where the drill goes in. And you'll see at the end how this looks. And now we're going to cut a groove for our back panel in all 4 pieces. And now we're cutting our back panel to fit, and we're going to dry fit it here. Just going to tap it in. Bring our sides up. Now we have these sides taped together. That's why they're staying together the way they are. We'll test fit the bottom, and we'll see how this box is looking. Here I'm adding a draw slide guide. So once the guide is dry, now I'm going to glue up the box. And I have the packing tape on the top and the 2 sides, and I got the glue already here. And I'm floating the back panel. I'm not gluing that down because that is solid wood. Here we're placing the bottom, and I'm going to tape it, which you don't see, and then I come back with the strap clamps. Here I am straightening everything out and clamping it down with the strap clamps. Starting to look pretty sweet, isn't she? Alright, so back at the table saw now we are cutting up our parts for our legs. And here we're cutting the angle, which I believe is 3 degrees. And we come back with the sled, and we're going to be doing a half lap joint for the 2 very top pieces. Once I get it hogged out here, I'm going to run it back and forth and clean up the actual groove. And we got a very nice tight fit. So I'm going to come back with the Dowelmax. We're going to add a couple dowels to each of the legs into those cross pieces. Then we'll do a test fit when we're done with that. You can see the Dowelmax makes doing angled parts very easy. Okay, so we'll test fit. This is a dry fit only. A couple dowels in each piece. We'll slide the 2 parts together. And there you go. Base is looking good, but there's one more step we need to take care of, which is take it apart, go back to the table saw with the tapering jig, and taper the legs. Here we're going to add some holes for where we're going to mount the legs to the table bottom. Okay, now we're going to assemble the base. We're going to add our dowels and our glue. We're going to clamp everything up. Now the angle is not severe enough where I have to use special pieces to clamp. I can actually just put the clamp on the wood and tighten it down. Alright, so the base is dry now, and what I like to do is add a chamfer at the bottom of the legs. And what this is going to do is going to give a little shadow line, but it's also going to protect the legs. If the table's moved, it's going to prevent any chip out or splinters. Okay, so now we're going to glue two pieces of the bottom together. So we got our glue and a half lap there. We're going to push it together, and I pre-drilled it. And we're going to use a millet dowel, which is like a wood nail, with some glue. We're going to drive that down, and we'll straighten the base out to where we want it, let it dry. No clamps necessary. Okay, so the bottom ended up with a little bit of a hump. I think it was from gluing in the drawer slide. So I'm doing is I'm taking my favorite hand plane, which is the Nielsen 164 low angle, and I'm going to take that little hump out of the bottom. You're going to see after I do a few passes, I'm going to use the actual hand plane to line down the actual bottom to see if it's flat enough. Okay, it's time to glue up the drawer box, and what I have is a mitered box, and I've used the Dowelmax in the angle portions to give us a strength. And I have it all put together with packing tape, and I'm going to roll it over with the glue in the edges now, slide the bottom in, wrap it up, and use some tape as a clamp, and let it dry. Now we all know that miters themselves aren't strong enough to keep a project together. So what I'm doing is I'm using a small millet dowel. I'm drilling 3 on each side, top and bottom. I'm going to use the dowels are going to help us to keep that carcass together. It's going to give it its strength that we need. Alright, so we got glue on the dowels. We're banging them in. We'll let them dry for a little while, and then we're going to come back with a flush cut saw. And we will cut them flush. Now, I like using flush cut saws because all the teeth are facing in the same direction, so you can go right to the project surface and not worry about actually digging into the surface. So rather than putting a piece of paper down or a playing card, you can just go right to the surface. Then I'll come back with a chisel and pare down as close as I can to limit the amount of sanding I need to do. Just be careful doing this so you don't stick yourself. Okay, so we're going to add the drawer front to the actual drawer box. You can see it's got a nice little pretty angle in it. And this is my favorite way of lining everything up. I use playing cards to get the gaps all good. I use a piece of 2-face tape. I'll stick it on and I'll pull the drawer out, drill, and add screws to the back. Okay, so now it's time for some finish. And we're going to use a wipe-on varnish. A gel varnish, actually. It's probably one of my favorite finishes. And it really pops the color. I mean, look at this. This is beautiful. Look how the sapwood and the heartwood come together. Now for final assembly, we're going to screw down the bottom to the top. Make our final tightening. And then we will add our drawer and call this one done. Okay, well there she is. I think she turned out beautiful. Well, if you guys like this video, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and please hit that subscribe button and become a part of this channel. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next video.